Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. This episode, we are headed to the beaches of Dunkirk and playing a spoiled victory. Dunkirk 1940 from White Dog Games, their Solitaire series. A game that is designed by, sugar. Where did it go? Here we go. Designed by Paul Fish and Herman Luttman. This game, I'm going to this game because it's a solo game and I haven't played it for a while, about a year. I played it last year, right before the Dunkirk movie came out. And, yeah, that quote-unquote war movie, which I just thought was god-awful. If you want to know why, I looked under on Board Game Geek, my comments on my solitary games on your table entry for July. Even though, of course, today is August, got to get the new entries up and everything yet. But I'm going with this game. Now, I know I mentioned last episode I was thinking about The Storm in the East, also from White Dog Games. I have played it a couple of times. I'm still processing it because there are some things that let's see. There's still some things I'm evaluating on the game. Some things that I'm trying to decide ultimately what I think, my impression, that kind of thing. So I kind of put it aside to give myself a little bit of time to mull it over. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and play this game. So the object of the game, obviously, is to evacuate people and get them off the beaches. So the map here you can see starts off. Zoom in a little bit here. You got all these different spaces leading up to the beaches, and then of course beyond the beaches you have the routes to England, but you have to be careful. There's German interdiction that can happen. There's a Luftwaffe lurking around. Okay, all those little green markers you see there, those are evacuees. The yellow ones are too. They're two evacuees. And basically you score victory points by getting them off the board and getting them home. One thing I would like to mention about this game, and I do want to zoom in here a little bit, is the player aid card is really quite good. This is one of my favorite player aid cards from any game that I have. It's just well organized. Most of the information you need here is here. I rarely find myself going back to the rulebook to search for explanations, information. Once you get this down, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's a few things you got to remember, but overall, pretty straightforward. So as always, let's just dive into the deep end of the pool. So we begin the game at dawn, May the 27th, 1940. And I'm going to try and get my people out as quickly as I can. You can see my dice over here on the right. I like to use those to mark actions in games that I get actions, and of course you get that in this game. I'm going to come back just out a little bit so I can show you the cards too. So, as the Joker would say, and here we go. Alright, now each card, I'll show you this up close here. Each card has an event portion. It has a Luftwaffe attack, it has German moves, it has player actions, and it has evacuations, depending on the time of day. Each game turn is either a day or a night turn. So the first card that you draw every turn, you deal with the event. Now, once you execute the event, then that card is removed from play. It is never brought back into play. Any other card that you play, Luftwaffe attacks, player actions, anything else, that goes into this card pile and is recycled whenever, of course, you run out of cards. So, let's see what this one says. This says, take the RAF bombers marker. Where are they? There they are. Okay, and use it whenever you wish to launch an air raid against any German unit during the player action phase. Discard after use. Huh. Alright, cool. See if I get some good luck like I had last time. Last game I got some really good luck. And actually almost had a miracle. I finished with 49 victory points, just short of the miracle. So that's off to a nice start. So let's go on to the next phase. Luftwaffe attacks. Track H. Okay, so let's take a look here. We'll focus on things here and give you some detailed information as we go through the first turn. And then, of course, I'll go rapidly after that wants to get some information. So here you can see there's German units, okay, at the starting position of each track. And each track, let me slide this guy here, each track has a letter associated with it. So actually the track that we're concerned with here is the one way over here, track H. So you can see track H start, and that's the German unit that starts there. Now with Luftwaffe attacks, there'll be different things. Attack a certain track, close air support, attack the beaches, whatever. Okay, so basically when it says a track like this, you're basically going to attack every single unit that is on that track. Well, on track H right now there's only Belgian units because the Belgians are holding that portion of the map. Those 3 tracks there that lead over to the edge. Okay, so for Luftwaffe attacks, you roll 2 dice. You consult the the Luftwaffe attack table, and again, depending on modifiers, day and night is the biggest thing, and you look at the category. Well, this is a combat unit, so they're going to be blasting them here in H1. So they need 8 or better to cause any kind of damage. So here we go. And it is a 5, so that is a miss. So they did not cause any kind of damage to the combat unit, so that's also a good break. Now that card, of course, we're going to take, and we're going to put it in the discard pile on the other side of the table, off camera, because we'll be able to use it again. Alright, now escape moves and VP scoring. Well, at the beginning of the game, you don't have any of that going on. As the game goes on, what you'll end up doing is you'll be bringing your boys up to this evacuation area here in the middle. Okay, and then you've got 3 tracks, one of which is not open for business at the start of the game. When you move along those tracks to the last space that says to England on it, let's see, here we go. There we go, to England on it. Then on this phase of the game, you can attempt to get them off the board. Now, there is German interdiction in certain spots, like the Z track right off the bat. Some, like way over here on the Y track, some of them are contingent. This one is contingent. So long as the Allies hold on to, I'm probably going to butcher this, Neupoort, they don't have to worry about interdiction on track Y, but as soon as the Germans capture it, they're open for business. That's why I've got this big stack of British troops here, because as soon as the Belgians surrender, I'm running, as the old expression goes, hell for leather, to get over there to defend that. I want to hold on to it as long as humanly possible. Okay, so I don't have any evacuation escape moves, and escape moves, not to be confused with evacuation. Escape's different. I don't have any escape moves to do right now at this particular point in time. So, sorry, just trying to give you the best shot so you can see the board and also see the card. All right, now it's on to dealing with the next phase, the German moves and attacks, or as Blackadder would say, the Germans. So, let's see what they're up to. So each card is going to specifically tell you what units are activated. So for this card here, it's the 2nd 2-9 Panzer and the 18th Infantry. Now, of course, Panzers are a big, big problem. Okay, so let's see where each of these units are. Well, they're kind of separated. So what I'm going to do is I'll focus on the Panzers, because the Panzers have a greater chance of doing breakthroughs and stuff. So let's zoom in on the 2-9 Panzer unit here, which is on, whoops, sorry about that, earthquake, must have been some bombs dropping. Alright, here we go. So here's the 2-9 Panzer. It's right here, right next to the 20th Motorized. So when the card tells you to move a German unit, you move it 1 box, okay, until, of course, it runs into Allied forces. Now, if there are no Allied forces there, if it's an armored unit, they can move again. If it's an infantry unit, like the 18th Infantry, then they're stopped. So off camera here, I'm going to move the 18th Infantry, and then we'll talk about combat. Combat in this game is basically, some people will call it a dice fest. I just call it, die rolling, a die combat kind of system here. So first thing you do is you take a look at the number that's on the German marker, a 6 here. That tells you how many dice you get to roll right off the bat. Now that can be modified based on terrain and also time of day. Now this is a day turn, so there's no modification for that. These folks here in a marsh, which you can see there's nothing here, there's no plus or minus modifiers, so those guys in the marsh, they're not going to get any help modifier-wise, but nonetheless, there is something with that marsh, which we'll talk about. Oh, come on, you guys. In a minute, my dice are running. They must not want to get involved in this combat here. Thing is, I'm not using my usual dice. Maybe they're just gun shy. I'm using gray dice for the Germans, which, the Feldgrau, I guess that, is appropriate, right? Okay. Alright. So here we go. I'm going to roll my 6 dice, and I'm looking for hits. So I'll roll them, and then I'll move the dice over here on the board to show you. Okay, here they come. So here are the dice I rolled. Now basically you're looking for what the game describes as wins. Okay? So here you're looking for any of the dice that are higher than the combat value of the enemy, which right here is a 3. Okay? Now, if you end up with 2 dice that are equal to the combat defending number, then that counts as 1 hit. Here we only have 1 3, and that's it. Now these ones can be deadly to the Germans if they manage to... Oh, look at that. I put them wrong. I'm sorry. I put them next to the first Panzer. OMG. There we go. Let's try that again. So as I was saying, anything that's higher than the defense value, which in this case is a 3, is a hit. So there are wins, they call them in the game. So there's 3 wins here. Now if you have any 2 dice that match the combat value, that would count as another win. Well, here I only have 1, it's a 3. As I was saying, these ones can be deadly, because if the Germans aren't successful, if they do not get wins, then those can result in casualties and can result in the German formations being flipped. Okay, so here the Germans have 3 wins. So what does that mean? Well, let's slide out here a little bit and I'll show you. So here we have the combat results chart. Right here. Well, the German one, the British one's on the bottom. So this is based on how many wins there are. So here we have 3 wins. Okay, so we just read it. Now what happens here? Alright, so the Germans, there's no effect on them. They'll attack again if any Allied units are still in the space. Panzer and motorized units may break through. Okay, so for the Allies, of course, now I have to take hits. Now, whichever unit is the first unit in the combat, that is your quote-unquote front line unit. Okay, and I have the top French unit here was my front line unit. So they're the guys who are going to bear the brunt of this assault. So they're the ones that have to take the first hit. Now, in order to absorb a hit, you may retreat a space along the track if you wish. Okay, but here I've got to absorb 3 hits total in the space. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this guy and then retreat him, and then I'll retreat this full strength guy back 1 2 as well, and the Germans will successfully move into that marsh space. Now, the marsh space becomes important because now the Germans will have to roll to see if they can keep going. They have achieved a breakthrough. A breakthrough is just what it sounds like. Okay, you manage to push the opponents back and drive them through. Let me just double check on the marshes though, because I know marshes at the beginning, see, this is one of those few rules that, you know, you just kind of have to make sure about here. But I'm not sure. I don't think... Here, yes, okay, a German unit. Combat took place in a marsh, cannot break through. So, scratch what I said about the breakthrough for this particular one here. If this had not been a marsh space, then the Germans would have advanced into here and we would have done combat. Yes, would have advanced into the next space there, and we would have done combat. But this is a marsh space, and then the next time this unit gets activated, I will have to roll that die I was talking about and see will they be able to move or not. Okay, so that's how combat pretty much goes. Now, the Allies also can do combats. I'll be honest with you, when I play this game, I rarely attack with the Allies unless I see a really juicy opportunity. Quite frankly, I found it to be extremely costly. Your mileage may vary, but that's my personal opinion. This is, let's see, this particular play of the game, this is my 11th time playing the game. So, you know, I've been around the block a few times with this particular game. So, which again also, I guess, tells you how much I enjoy the game as well. Okay, so over here now, we've got this other fight here. The Germans have 5 dice they get to roll, and the defender has 3 for his number. So the Germans are looking for 4 5s and 6. And whew, 2 5s, a 4, and a 6. So that completely obliterates those guys. So those guys are wiped out from the game. They're combat ineffective completely. Now, the number of wins there that the Germans rolled was 4. Now, when 4 wins are rolled, any German unit may break through. Typically, it's tough to non-mechanized units to do breakthroughs. So basically, when you play this game, your breakthroughs are mostly going to come over here on the left-hand side of the map with these 2 Panzer divisions and the 20th Motorized. But this was such a crushing victory for the Wehrmacht that they're going to get a chance to get on their horse and keep going. So they're going to advance down here to this canal. Now, there's a +1 defensive combat factor there. So they'll roll 5 dice again, rather, but this time they'll need 4 or better. And this time, sorry, I had a Brian Adams moment here. This time, let me show you the dice. And let's zoom in, because I do want to give you, again, just show you how the game works, how the system works. Whoops. As the dealer said at the beginning of Aladdin, too close. So we'll come back. Alright, now, when you launch an attack, if the Germans end up with 0 wins, or 1 win, here there's only 1 win, because we have a 6, that is the only one higher than 4. Remember, we don't have a second win, because in order to have another win, we would have had to have 2 4s, which then equals 1 win, but we only have 1 4. Now, anytime there's 0 or 1, the Germans may end up with casualties, and that's where you have to check your dice that have 1 faces on them. Now, if you roll 1 die, which doesn't happen very often in the game, mostly it happens at night when units are weakened, then that causes a casualty. If you roll multiple dice, if you have 2 1s or more, then the German unit receives casualties. So in this particular situation, we got a nice lucky break early, because the Germans just took a little bit of a beating. You know, apparently they got a little carried away after that breakthrough. They were like, oh yeah! And then, of course, you know, like the Kool-Aid Man, oh yeah! But then they hit the wall, oh no! And they hit the canal, and that was that. And the Brits were like, blimey, go back! So they did. So now they are weakened, okay? You can see the yellow number, and that's the nice thing about this game is you can quickly look at the map and be like, bam! Who's weakened, who's full strength? These Germans have been weakened. Now, the only way the Germans will get back to full strength is through an event card. So keep that in mind for the future. So, good news, bad news situation there on track, what is that? E. Yes, track E to start the game. Okay, not too shabby. Alright, so this goes into the discard pile now, because we only had to move those 2 German units. And now we get to the player action phase. Alright, so the player action phase is exactly what it sounds like. You can see there on yellow. And that's another nice thing I like about this game is it's color-coded. So as soon as you look at it, you know, if you're using it for Luftwaffe attacks or whatever, bam, you know right away, hey, you know what? Player action, that's the yellow part. Once you get to learn this game, it's like zip, 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 no sweat. Okay, so I get 3 player actions. What does that mean? Well, let me show you. And again, love the quick reference data card. It's really well done. So over here, we have all the actions that I can do. So let's talk about them briefly here, okay? So I can do a couple of different things here. Excuse me. I can move all units of the same nationality. Okay, you have to be careful with nationalities in this game because not everybody coordinates very well. That was part of the problem for the Allies. Okay, and I can move them by foot or by truck. So if I move them by foot during the daytime, okay, and there's the Allied movement chart here. I don't know if you can really see it. You can kind of see it. You know, it tells you how far you can go. You know, during the daytime you can move 2 spaces, only 1 at night. And then the trucks you can move even further, unlimited during the day, 4 at night. But trucks cost you 2, so I would be able to spend 2 of my 3 points, okay, in order to do that, okay? Or I can create a brand new 1 evacuee unit, okay, but only on a May turn, okay? At the beginning of the game, all the evacuees that you have on the board are basically like your wounded soldiers, your infrastructure, logistics guys, you know, people trying to get off the beach. You're trying to get them out of there because I hesitate to call like the cooks and the logistics guys useless mouths, but I mean, you know, let's face it, they're just not the same folks as, you know, the combat guys that have been, you know, having bullets whizzing around them and stuff like that. So, and of course a lot of these, and I like to think of most of these as wounded soldiers getting off the beach. So you can create one if you have one in your pile of evacuees, which I don't have right now, so I couldn't do that even if I wanted to. Okay, I can convert a combat unit into an escapee unit. British units are first, French units second. Remember that as you drop your guys back towards the beaches. Okay, and that happens much later in the game. The British begin, let's see, and it says right here on this here, June 1st is when the British get converted. The French can't start being converted until June the 2nd. Okay, so you basically turn them into evacuee units. Full strength unit, two strength evacuee. Reduced, 1 is what you get there. Okay, so you can upgrade an evacuee unit. You can flip it to its 2 side. Okay, you can do an intelligence report. Basically, draw a card off the deck, and that will be the German movement next time. Now you have to be careful because there are some event cards that will basically negate that, and you wasted your action. I hardly use that, to be honest, but I guess because for me, it's just the focus is let's get these guys off the beaches and back home to England, where they live to fight another day. So I rarely use that one, I'll be honest. Okay, raise the Dunkirk spirit. That's a marker that you can use to enhance things. Conducted evacuation move. You can start to move your guys, evacuate them out of there. Release flooding. Build the beach jetties, which allows you to move more guys off the beaches, in essence, or repair the damaged mole or the beach jetties. Okay, so those are all of our actions that we have in place. Okay, for me, what I usually do right off the bat, to be completely honest about it, is in the first couple of turns, I focus my actions on flipping these guys to 2s and then getting them the heck out of Dodge, as it were. Okay, and then the other thing I save my actions for is to get British units over here to Nieuport as quick as I can, because if you don't, when the Belgians collapse, you're going to have trouble. Okay, so I'm going to use my 3 actions, and I'm going to flip all these guys on the beaches. 1 and 2 and 3. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. And that card goes into the discard pile. Okay, next step. Next to last step of the turn is the evacuations. And again, that's the green. Oh, what a bad break for me. 1. So evacuations basically means I can move the guys up here to the staging area or move them along the track. Okay. Now there are stacking limits on the evacuees. There's no stacking limits on the combat units. So you can make a guy, stack here mile high in the air if you want. Well, here mile high in the air if you want, and that's totally fine. That's cool by the rules. All right. But evacuees, you can only have 2 of them in a space at a time. I only get 1 evacuation movement. You know what? Since this jetty marker is built, I can move 2. That's the advantage of having the mole, and the advantage of having the beaches. I should say the mole here. I'm sorry. The mole. The beach jetties are not built. You can build those, or there's an event card that lets you if you want to be patient. So I'll go ahead with 1 action. I can move 2 evacuees, and that's what I'm going to do. I'll move 1 to the Z channel, 1 to the Y channel, just to show you how it works as we try to evacuate people. Okay, and that's it, because I didn't get very lucky there. I did not get very many actions. Of course, I'm sure it comes as no surprise to anybody that basically, you get to do more evacuation moves at night when the Germans can't see you, so to speak. So now the last thing you do at the end of each turn is you check on the situation with the Belgians, see if they surrender. Okay, you have to roll a die, and basically there's modifiers to it. And again, this is on the player aid card over here. So if I roll 1, all the Belgian units surrender. Okay, so -1 for each hit suffered by the Belgian units. Well, nobody got hit. That Luftwaffe attack failed, if you remember earlier in the turn. -1 on turn 2 and each turn thereafter. So let's see if my Belgian friends are going to hang around. Yes, they are. 5. Last game, they were gone, man. Opening turn, they were out of here. Thanks for playing. Okay. Now, the other thing you have to see is about the German panzers. If you know anything about this event, Hitler was very concerned about his panzers, his precious panzers being chewed up in this attack on Dunkirk, and that's why he held up and let the Luftwaffe do it. One of the reasons. There are, of course, other things too. The idea of not, trying to find a peace with Britain, which, it's not, at times it's like, hey, dude, this seems crazy. But, when it comes to decision-making theory, one of the things you have to take into consideration when you're analyzing decisions is the operational environment of the individual. How do they see the world, so to speak? And, Hitler had his quirks, to put it mildly. In this particular case, he does seem to genuinely think that that was a realistic possibility. So, whatevs, I guess, is maybe the best way to put that. Okay, so let me just make sure this starts on turn 1. I'm pretty sure it does. Okay, and then you start doing other things there. Okay, so let's see, Germans, yes, they're on their side. Okay, alright. So, let's check here again. The German Panzers, it's a 1. -1 for each hit or disrupted marker they have on them. -1 on turn 6 and each turn after. So we're going to roll for both of the German Panzers. There's only 2 of them right here. So let's see if there's any 1. Achtung Panzer! Nope. Achtung Panzer! I forget what the German number for 2 is. Then it dies spinning. Woo! A lot of dots again. 5. Okay. So the Germans are still in the game, as it were. No dice. Now we move on to lovely night turn. Okay. So basically every day is split into 2 turns. You have a day segment and a night segment here. Okay. So we're on to the night segment of this turn. So here we go. Event. Ah, come on, man. Look at this. Woo! I got to draw twice for German units during the German move and attack phase. Units that are on both cards will move twice. Now, the good news about that is it's nighttime, which means all German combat units have a -1 combat modifier right off the bat. So there's a good news, bad news situation here. All right. All right, here comes the Luftwaffe. The Luftwaffe is going to attack Dunkirk, which is basically these 2 spaces here. Now, it's nighttime, so that's a -2 modifier right off the bat. And then in town spaces, which those both are, it's a -1 modifier. So here we go. So they're going to go after the 2 evacuee units first. So 7 - 2 is 5. They're good. The second evacuee unit, 5 - 2 is 3. Or 5 - 3 is 2. I'm sorry. This is -3, not -2. My apologies. There. Okay, and then last but not least, we have a combat unit. Combat units are even harder to hit. So 6 - 3 is 3, no chance. And now this British unit here. 7 - 3 is 4. So the Luftwaffe was not very helpful, shall we say, here. Hitler will not be pleased. Okay. Alright, now, escape moves. Again, I can't do any escape moves because I don't have anybody on the end of the tracks. X route does not become available until turn 5. Okay, so that's a little dicey, but hey, that's the way it goes. Okay, now German moves and attacks. So we need 2 cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw these 2, and we're going to put them right here, and I'll flip them over one at a time, and we'll remove this card from play. So here we go. Hold on to your butts. All right, first one. What does it say? So the Panzers, the motorized, and the 254th. Are the guys that are on the move. Okay, so the second Panzer, black. Oh, we're gonna have to see if they get out of there though. That's a marsh space. Now, if you start to turn into marsh space, you have to roll 5 or 6. You're stuck. But the Germans rolled a 3, so the Panzers are rolling on. So there they go. So 2 Panzer, 20th motorized, and the 254th. So all these guys come slamming in to fight. Okay, so we'll start here with these guys. Now this is an empty space. Here's my frontline unit. All right, so 6, but it's nighttime, so that's going to be reduced to 5. And they're looking for 4 or better. Ouch, 1, 2, 3 hits is what they got. Okay, so I'll reduce and retreat this guy. I'll just eliminate this guy for my second hit, and then the third one I'll drop this guy back, and we'll go back here to the canal. Okay, now that was 1, 2, 3 successes, or 3 wins. So 3 wins. Panzer and motorized may break through, so these guys are going to drive to the canal. So I'm going to go ahead and put my strong British unit in the front line here, see if I can stop these guys. Okay, so they are reduced again by 1 to 5 dice because it's a night turn. And then the British, now that they're on a canal, will be up to +1. So you need 5s and 6s. And the Germans got 1, 6. And they also got 1, 1. So they won't suffer any casualties. Nuts! Could have had it. But I'll go ahead and retreat those guys. So, when we look at the chart over here, 1 win, it says German retreats if any Allied units remain in the space. Well, they do. So the Germans could not breach the canal. They have fallen back. Alright, well that's good. Now, up here, the motorized division. They have a 5, but they'll be reduced to a 4. There's no terrain benefit there for the French. So 4 dice, and they're looking for 4 or better. They got 3 hits. Ouch. So 1, 2, and 3. So fell back. Now that's 3 wins, despite being nighttime. So now they can do a breakthrough. So here they go. Yikes. In this next space, I don't think there's anything special about this particular terrain either. Nope. So again, 4 dice. They got 2 hits. So I can retreat both these units for the hits, so that's what I'll do. So those guys will move into there, and we're all good. Just make sure about that retreat business. Hold on. May choose to retreat to apply 1 win. Okay, you may decide which If more than 1 allied unit is retreating, they each can go to any space that you choose. So I can do that. Okay, I was pretty sure that I could take both of those as retreats. Of course, the downside of taking those as retreats is that gets closer to the beaches, which I'm trying to protect. Alright, last but not least over here, these guys will be rolling 4 dice also. And they got 1 success. That's it. And they got 1 if they had another one. So, 1 win, they have to fall back again per the combat results chart. Okay. So, that was the first card. Now remember, there's 2 here this turn because of the event. The second German card, all 10th Corps units. Okay. So that's basically these 3 guys here. 1, 2, 3 that are going to advance. So these guys are coming again. These guys are trying to come up to the canal. These guys are going into here. Alright, so here we go again. 4. Ouch, 2 hits. So I can retreat, I can reduce, and I can retreat. Alright, so I will do that. I'll drop those guys back, and now I'm going to try and get them closer to the beaches to evacuate them at some point here. Now that was only 2 wins. But again, only Panzers can break through, so there's nothing else going on in that space. Okay. Over here, now it's nighttime. Remember, these guys got reduced in their combat, so they're down to 2 dice. And they need 5 or better. They got a 3 and a 2. Now, of course, there's no 1s, so there's no casualties. They just drop back. These guys are attacking. Nothing there for modifiers. So they will get 4 dice, because it is a night turn. Ouch, they got 2 successes. Dang it. So I will have to take flip and retreat. So I'll work on getting those guys there. The only good thing is they can't break through any further because there was only 2 wins. Okay. Alright. Well. So. Uh-oh. I used the wrong card, didn't I? Yes, I did. Is that what I did? No. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Okay. Alright. Nope. Sorry, I was just making sure I put it in the discard pile there, because this one says the same thing. Major offensive. I was like, whoops! But no. I see the card over there. So no worries. Okay. So all done there with the German attack. So now it's up to me. Player action time. I get 2. 2? What in the wide world of sports am I supposed to do with 2 player actions? Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, based on my philosophy here. I'm going to flip these guys and get them ready to get them heck off the beach. And now I have my evacuation moves. Nighttime, hey, that's much better. It's a 5. Alright, so now I'll move these guys. Normally I would not do this, but I'll move these guys here to show you guys the escape thing. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now the staging area is unlimited stacking, but the spaces on the track you can only have 1, and then the staging at the end you can have 2 at the most. So that's that. Alright, now we're going to check for the Belgians, and we got to check for the Pences. So here we go. Belgians. Come on, Belgians. -1 modifier. You have no hits. That's all we have to worry about. Survey says... Yes, it's a 6! They are sticking with us. Way to go, guys. Thanks for holding that territory there. Now, of course, the downside is I can't get British units over there to secure that. And, of course, the British combat units are a little stronger. Let's check the Panzers. So it would require a 1 for them to be withdrawn. That's a 3. And that's a 6. So, no luck there. Okay. Alright, let's get one more turn so I can show you how the evacuation things work. And that'll give you a good idea how this game plays. Alright, so here we go again. Another day turn. Dawn on May the 28th. Alright. Okay, so let's see. Ramsey requests destroyers. Flip the destroyer's withdrawn marker to its modern destroyer's deployed side. Luftwaffe attacks effects return to normal. No event occurs if this side of the marker is already active. Well, it already is, because that's on that channel space over there. So, okay. Well, that was a bit of a bad break. Okay. Luftwaffe. Luftwaffe is going to attack track B. So everybody that's on track B, here comes Hermann Göring's boys. Alright, so we're going to go the whole length here, starting here. So combat units be better than a 7, basically. So that's a 6, no worries there. The second combat unit, that's a 4, so no worries there. Good. Alright, the next space, how many combat units we have? 1, 2, oh, we got 2. We have an evacuee I forgot about in that space. Oops. So the combat unit's 5, that was a 3. And of course, evacuees are a little easier to hit. It's a 6. Let me double check the evacuees. It missed them. Good. So, and then the combat unit, that's there. Oh, that's a 9. Okay. So a 9 on the combat unit. There's no modifier right now. Alright, that means they are suppressed. So now we're going to mark them with a suppressed marker, which is a problem. Okay, because they lose a combat factor, all that jazz. Now, evacuee units that are suppressed cannot move, so bear that in mind. Speaking of which, time for the beaches. And they rolled a 7. Uh-oh. Yep. 7 is suppressed, so those guys are stuck on the beach. They're hugging the ground, so to speak. Alright. You know, could be worse. Could be raining. Something like that. Okay. Escape moves. Finally, I have a possible escape move. I've got a unit onto England. But I also have this German interdiction. Okay. Now, again, that interdiction is automatic on the Z track. Of course, notice that's the shortest route home, too. It only has 1 space. This has 2. That one has 3. Okay. Now, daytime is tricky. Because you have to... Well, let's put it this way. The only way they get home is if I roll a 2 through a 5 right now. That's going to be hard. Oh, it's a 6. It's a 6! Look at that. It's a 6! That means they're suppressed. So, they're stuck in place. Alright. Now, if they had not been, let's say they had been a 5, then you would just lift them off the board, and then there's a victory point track over here on the reference card, and I would go up by 2 victory points, and I'm off and running to try and win this game. But unfortunately, they got suppressed. Alright, so Germans moves. What are the Germans up to this turn? Let's see. Oh, look at this nonsense. All 26th units. So all the 26 units are on this end of the map over here. Okay? So, oh, they're pressing the Belgians. No! Oh, no. Alright, first one here, they got 5 dice to roll. The Belgians have a 2, so as you can see, that's not a good situation. 1, 2, 3 successes. So the Belgians are destroyed, unfortunately. Now, the good news is, it's 3 wins, so only Panzer and motorized can break through. So at least these guys won't make it all the way to the canal. Of course, I'm more concerned about the next space, because that city, that Neupoint is there. So I'm hoping we'll be able to hang on. So let's find out. 5 dice again. 2, 4, 5. Excuse me. 3 successes. So again, the Belgians disintegrated, but the good news is there's no breakthrough. However, the bad news is, now I have to be honest, I want the Belgians to surrender so I can get the British over there. The British cannot enter these last 3 tracks, or the French for that matter, until the Belgians surrender. So now I need the Belgians to surrender. I need them to be like, dude, we took some losses, man. Okay, game's up. We just lost 2 of our 3 units. Okay, player actions. Let's hope I get a good one this time. Dun, dun, dun. 3. I got 3. Okay. Now, I can move units along the track if I want to. So, let's see. How do I want to handle this? Because that is one thing I can do. I can do an evacuation move. So, you know what? Well, But I got all these guys waiting to get down to the beach, man. I got people that need to be converted too, so to speak. Alright, well, let's just do this. We'll do 1 here. Bring them down, and I'll drop these guys all the way over to here. So again, they'll be able to go to England at the end of, or during next turn, during the escape phase. Okay. Now, evacuation moves. It's daytime, so I get 5 of them. Alright, well that's good. So, I can go 1. I can go 2, because remember I can have 2 in that space. 3, 4, and I'll bring these guys down 1, so I can try to flip them next time with my player actions. Okay, so now we're going to check to see if the Belgians surrender. So now it's -3. And this is the 3rd turn. And they do. So Belgian units are removed from the game. And now next turn I can start hustling the British over there. And the German Panzers. First Panzer. They're fine. And second Panzer. Oh, it's a 1. Now what does that mean? Well, basically that means that they flip to their weaker side, and they stay on their weaker side for the rest of the game. Again, this is Hitler getting nervous in the service that his precious panzers are going to get beat up here. So that's a good break for me here, especially given how far advanced those guys are on the track. They're down pretty far. And now we're ready for the next turn and our next event card. Okay. All right. So again, that's kind of the first three opening turns there. Again, as the game goes on, there's more things you can do. You can try to launch counterattacks. Again, I'm very judicious about that. I rarely do it. I'll be honest with you. I launch an attack with the Allies, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a game. But I like this game. I like it a lot. It's fun, it's fast, it's easy to play. Pulling the event cards out makes for nice replayability because you never know what cards are going to be left in the deck. And of course, you know, the problem is if you get a bunch of good events that are pulled, that means there's a lot of bad events waiting there lurking, so you can kind of contingency plan. To me, this is a nice filler game. I played a game complete to completion after setting it up last night, between last night and early this morning, and now I've started this one here. And again, obviously, you know, if I wasn't explaining everything and stuff, it would go a lot faster. So once you get the hang of it, it really does move really quick. You know, you go through the cards pretty fast and such. If you would like more information about this game, you can check out Board Game Geek. I posted a review there some time ago when I first got the game, like within the first year or so of getting the game. But this is a lot of fun. So, up next, not sure, to be honest, because I was using this as kind of a filler to decide and think. Like I said, I'm thinking about Storm in the East, trying to consider some of the what's the word I want? Well, let's put it this way: since I haven't made a decision or a judgment yet, the more unique aspects of the game. We'll use the word unique for the time being, because I'm not quite ready to make an evaluation. But I also might, because I don't do this very often, I finally decided, after some debate and thought, to get the new Decision Games World War One Deluxe, the old World War One game. Most of you, maybe not most of you I should say, but older gamers are probably familiar with it. That's the one that was first in strategy and tactics sometime in the 70s. Then there was a boxed version, which I used to have, but I gave away. It's basically the one where you do your attacks and you don't really move units around. It's more about replacement points, and you drag it down, and then if you run out of replacement points, then you start having to retreat people. It's like 100 counters for the whole thing. That's my idea of a great World War One game, is 100 counters or under. And every once in a while, when I get that World War One itch, which I gotta admit doesn't happen very often at all, I can use this game for that. Because honestly, the only World War One games I have in my collection, I think, are part of the S&T subscription I had years ago. The I think it's around S&T 197, 198, the over-the-top Lemberg and Verdun. I think I still have that. Maybe I don't. I might have sold that. But the only other World War One game I have, come to think of it, is the one from Phalanx Games. I think it's called the First World War. It's way across the room. I take that back. I did take a chance because it was ding and dent. It was half off on the Axis and Allies World War One 1914 game. The local game store, one of the local game stores here. Actually, it might be the only local game store left. Oh no, I think Battleground still exists. But basically, they have a ding and dent section. So, for me, I don't care if the contents are in good shape. I could care less about the box. I can make my own box. I can find my own box. So I'm more than happy to buy ding and dent stuff. Especially stuff that I'm kind of on the fence about. So bottom line of all that little rambling there is, I might go ahead and do World War One maybe for my next video, since that deluxe edition just came out, to again give you a feel of the game and gameplay here. So if you're interested in Dunkirk and you like solitaire games, this is kind of like somebody, I think somewhere else described it as a sort of States of Siege thing, and I think that's accurate. To me, it's kind of States of Siege on steroids, because there is more going on here, more choices for sure, without a doubt, and it is a lot of fun. So I would definitely give this game a thumbs up. And again, if you want more detail, you can check out my review on BoardGameGeek.com under the A Spoiled Victory page. So, this is Tim Korchner from Bare Bones Wargaming saying thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Right now, either from the trenches, perhaps from Barbarossa. I don't know. Okay. I'm trying to, what's the word? Filter. There's the word. I'm trying to filter my thoughts because I haven't made a decision yet about the game. I need to play it at least one more time. And then, even then, I might just go ahead and show it to you. So that way it might be easier to discuss some of the, again, unique aspects of the game. So, see you next episode. One way or the other, the Eastern Front will be involved, whether it's World War I or whether it's Storm in the East. Thanks for watching.